Hi, I'm Chiara Ocampo and welcome to the Orange Chair. This is where I sit down with the country's top thought leaders and influencers. Hear me as I unpack their stories that will hopefully influence you, inspire you, and inform you. All right, let's get to know our next guest. We have a very special guest today. He is the chairman of UBX, the Senior Executive Vice President, Chief Transformation Officer, Chief Technology and Operations Officer of UnionBank of the Philippines. He is also an author and educator. Let's all welcome Mr. Henry Aguda. Hi, Henry.
Hi, Chiara.
Hello. Welcome to the Orange Chair.
Thank you for having me.
A proud alumnus of the University of the Philippines, Henry led UnionBank's digital transformation in 2016, playing a significant role in making it the Philippines' top digital bank. Recently appointed as Digital Infrastructure Lead of Malacanang's Private Sector Advisory Council, Henry cements his status as a trailblazer, paving the way for future generations in the industry and beyond. So actually, I'll start off more on how you grew up. Were you always an achiever growing up?
Not a lot of people know this, but I have two very, how should I call this, academically challenged conditions. One is I have a lisp, so I have a problem speaking in front of people, and I cannot pronounce the words properly. And I have minor dyslexia. So reading and talking are very difficult activities for me. But it's a background also of my life. My mom is a elementary school principal. So you know how in the olden days, people don't really have advanced knowledge of conditions of kids and how to groom them out of those difficulties. So my mom's solution has always been, okay, you have a problem speaking, so guess what she did? She entered me in an oration competition. First in school, then regional in Central Luzon, and just imagine, I can barely pronounce words, and it's not even in English, it's in Tagalog, so the difficulty. But, you know, true enough, she scared me to death. And, yeah, I won all the competition there. So I guess from an early stage, from an average student, my mom taught me grit. Just, you know, face your demons, whatever difficulties you have, you can barge in through it, run through it, and you can just come out better after that. So that's how I ended up where I am right now. Yeah.
Yeah, that's so interesting. I was actually telling the team that I wanted to ask questions that since I'm a young professional, it's of course you're somebody who I actually look up to, of course.
Thank you.
So actually what you said is related to what I also saw in one of your interviews. You said something about gravitas. It's what sets someone apart. Can you talk about gravitas and also how you built it during your early years?
Yeah. So I'm really impressed with people that when they walk into a room, they have presence. And the presence comes from confidence. And that confidence might come from different sources. But the ones that signals gravitas is the person is confident for the right things because the person knows what he's doing, knows his values are right, and has this willingness to share or to collaborate with people. In my case, my gravitas, if you might say that I have some, comes from the fact that I'm confident that I can overcome difficulties, having gone through it in my life. Second, I really spend a lot of time, and my guys, the people that work with me know that I dig deep into issues. It shouldn't be just 1, 2 layers of interrogation. It has to be 3, 4, 5. May hugot na malalim. And I love engaging people. I love understanding what they bring to the table. And I love the fact that I can engage them and try to work with them in terms of distilling or refining ideas. Yeah.
Actually, interesting. That was actually my first impression of you. I met you back in Singapore.
Oh,
during the
yes.
Singapore
That's
Fintech
right.
Festival. It was such a great experience, especially for someone who was still blooming in her career. I was able to see executives in action.
Thank you.
Actually, that was my next question.
Yeah.
How do you keep calm in certain situations that's very high pressured?
It's not often that I'm calm in pressured situation, but I guess in the way that I try to measure my response. So inside, I might be anxious, but I try to vocalize it and convey it in a way that people might understand it without the emotions. I wasn't like that. I was using hammers when I could be using screwdrivers quietly. But over time, I realized the more effective way to handle a stressful situation is not to add to the stress. And every day is a stressful situation. I've learned not to be more emotional. I'm still emotional. Let's say I'll be passionate, but I'd start having conversation now with my team. There's a problem, let's talk. And if it's really the house is burning, we have to show urgency with our action, not with the decibel of our voice. So that's how I've managed so far.
I'm just thinking of everything that I actually researched about you. You've been actually in a lot of high pressure situations. And one interesting point, as you've mentioned in your career, a while ago was when you entered law school in 2008. And this was actually the time that you already had a career and then you entered law school. Can you tell us the story about that?
Well, I was struggling. I mean, when I was younger, I already realized I have some mathematical skills. So that's there. But in life, you won't go far with just numbers. You have to be able to fix the confidence level that you can read, you can talk, you can write. So I went in there to force myself to read books. I love reading books, but try reading a law book that's written in the most archaic style and tone. So I had to do that. But 5 years served me well. And that's one of the reasons why I did that. Second also is I fell in love with the idea that if you master law and the logic behind law, you'd be confident to handle things in the workplace that are beyond technology or operations. In fact, not only am I enjoying it, it doesn't drain me. I had fun during law school because I had great professors, and the more terror they are, I'm an oddball in law school because nobody raises their hand during recitation. So I was weird in the sense that, hey, bring it on. I'd raise my hand. In fact, there was this very great professor, one of the ones that's feared by the student the most. I mean, I kept reciting every single day, keeping my hands up. He actually said, Mr. Aguda, if you don't stop raising your hand, I will flunk you now. So I'm a bit odd because, I went into law school late. I already have a nice career. In my head, I mean, I'm getting what I wanted, which was learn how to read, finally. So if they kick me out, I have no problem. And the rest is gravy.
And also in the lines of education, you're also actually teaching.
So
instead of me asking you what you always tell your students, what's actually something that you learn from your juniors and the people that you teach?
Oh, boy. So one of the tools that I use to keep me relevant in technology is to keep abreast with the academe and the younger generation of technology leaders. And whether technology is moving towards the cloud, I heard that from my students first. APIs. Of course, now I teach them because I have on-the-ground experience with companies that I am involved in. But that's the first time I've heard from them. Blockchain keeps me relevant. That's why I love engaging them. Plus, it gives you some humility also, knowing that these are the new generation of technology leaders. They will know more than I've ever learned in my career. I'm just a custodian of the next generation of people who will take over what I'm doing now. Yeah, so that's what I learned from my students.
So now let's talk more about just life in general. So what's one thing that people don't really know about HRA?
Well, some know this, but a lot more get surprised when they hear that I used to act.
Oh, wow.
See? That reaction. So, I used to have bit roles in Maalaala Mo Kaya.
Oh.
Yeah, so really the surprise. But, so instead of taking the acting path, which I wouldn't have succeeded anyway, I'm what you call the method actor. So the directors would always say, Henry, it's your line. And that's it. I practice my lines in different moods and tones, like when I'm sad, when I'm happy. But my beat roles are such that I don't get to do the method acting, and the director would always say, yeah, you're just an extra. But, I like going into things. I'm the best extra out there. Like, I bring my own wardrobe. I read my script. I'm on set ahead of the other stars. And I was thinking, if I do this very, very well, maybe I can, land a great part where acting is appreciated. But true enough, after 2 years of that, I decided, okay, this is enough. And I went back to my day job. I didn't quit my day job, by the way. So I was a professional CIO by day and a struggling beat player at night and early morning. So that's something that a lot of people don't know about me. Yeah.
Since you work, you're an executive, you work a lot, you meet with a lot of people. What's a typical weekend like for you? Or something like, what's a vacation like for you?
Oh, wow. So right now so my wife gave birth in New York. She has my other daughter there also, is 3 or 4 years old. I think she's 4 years old. They're coming home this Friday, actually. Yeah, my 2 daughters are coming home and my wife. And the ideal vacation for me is in the beach. And I've been telling her, please, let's go to the beach. I just want to swim in the ocean, get sunburn, just listen to nothing. That to me is an ideal weekend. It's too few and far in between for me, so I'm looking forward to that in the next 2 weeks. But my typical weekend is basically catching up on email, some work, because I have 7 emails that I have to respond, 7 email boxes. One of the things that I'm very obsessed about is I have to answer each and every email. And if I miss one, I consider it a personal failure. So there's that obsession there. Then I read books. Recently, I picked up a book, When Breath Becomes Air. Fantastic. It's a neurosurgeon who, at his prime, has a brain tumor. And, well, he has cancer. And it talks about life and time and how precious every moment is. So, talking about vacation, that's why I told my wife, I need to go to the beach because I just read this book. Life is short. Yeah.
Well, congratulations on your new daughter.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, hopefully you'll be enjoying the beach very soon.
Yes, please.
Yeah. So my other question would be, it's very safe to say you're already achieved a lot of things and very successful. But is there one thing in your bucket list that you still have yet to tick off?
Oh, my dream, actually.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I'm a frustrated actor, I'm a frustrated athlete, I'm a frustrated academician because I would have wanted to spend my life in the university. That's why I never got out of the university system. One thing that I want is to go back to my alma mater, the University of the Philippines. I want to end my career in the last portion of my list or my career aspiration as a significant leader in my alma mater. I just want to go back to the academy and start feeding off the life of students, in the sense that I've seen professors that have been teaching in their late 80s to early 90s, and the interaction with students gives them a lot of life, of course, relevance and meaning. To me, I want to feed off of that for survival and longevity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now we move on to UBX.
Okay.
So can you tell us the story also of the first time you heard about UBX?
Oh, wow. UBX started really small. We can fit in just one room, in John's room. I think there was 3 or 4 of us. I can't remember anymore. But the one I distinctly remember is having been introduced to John. So John made an impression immediately. So they told me, hey, would you like to start off UBX as the chair? And the CEO would be John. And the aspiration there was, okay, we don't know the final landing of what we'll do. We have some guardrails on funding use, but then we wouldn't have dreamt of 100 billion in flows, fastest growing fintech in Asia. Those things weren't in our radar. We just wanted to be a sandbox to be able to experiment and innovate on new stuff. And now you have UBX.
Here at UBX also and UnionBank, we're not really scared to go out of our comfort zone. You always experiment and everything else. You were actually at the forefront of the bank's digital transformation. And I've always been curious because there are a lot of seminars and people who talk about transformation. And for someone who actually lived this particular transformation, I'm curious if there were sort of myths that, or there were theories or there were misconceptions that you actually realized during the whole journey of digital transformation.
So one of the things that I try to debunk, it actually swings one end to the other. One, it's not as expensive as you think, because there are those that start off a digital transformation that says, I have to spend 10 billion, 20 billion or so. You do that, you start killing the execution from the very start. And second, it's also not as cheap as you think. So it's somewhere in between. Digital transformation should not start with a conversation of how much, because it will either be too little or too much, depending on the value that you get from it. So the right conversation would have to be, what do we want to become as an organization? What would be the value creation that we want for our customer? That's the start of the digital transformation. Another myth that I try to debunk over and over again is the notion that it's all about technology. Actually, it's not. In fact, it's more about people. If you get the people agenda right, you'll have a fighting chance of implementing your digital transformation. I'm not saying it's a walk in the park. You still have to do the process and the technology. But if you don't get the people agenda right, no amount of technology or change process will ever result into something significant from a transformation standpoint. Don't even start if your people agenda has not been addressed well, because it's the people agenda addressed well that will unfreeze the organization and take the organization from the status quo to the transformed state. And don't talk about cost and investment figures until you've done the first two. So those are, and usually people just gloss over those three and go straight to how much will it cost. It's not just about money.
We now move on to Rapid 7. Here we ask our guests 7 rapid fire questions, which they need to answer in under 1 minute. All right. Henry, are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right. Your take, the invasion of super apps, a bubble waiting to burst or a revolutionary product?
A revolutionary product.
2, your take, generative AIs like ChatGPT, friend or foe?
Friend.
3rd, your take, the metaverse, passing trend or a road to the future?
Road to the future.
The most impressive technology you've come across lately?
ChatGPT.
A word or phrase to describe the banking and financial services in the Philippines?
Evolving.
Your best sources for the latest news on data, technology, and business?
ADI.
ADI. And lastly, what for you is true transformation?
True transformation is elevating lives and fulfilling dreams.
Thank you so much, Mr. Henry Aguda.
Thank you. Thank you.
With Henry's story, we learned that no matter how successful you are, it's always great to keep on learning. Join us on the next episode of The Orange Chair.